A man got everything he thought he wanted: the career, the money, the respect, the life people spend decades chasing. Then one question ruined it. Not immediately, not dramatically, just quietly. The question was simple. If nobody could see your success, would you still want it? He laughed at first, the way people laugh when a question feels too obvious. Then he tried to answer, and something strange happened. He couldn't. Not because he didn't understand the question, because for the first time in 20 years, he wasn't sure. That moment stayed with him. At first, he ignored it. Then it followed him home. Then it followed him into silence. And eventually, it began to dismantle the life he had spent years building. Because from the outside, his life looked complete. He had achieved the things people told him mattered. He had become the person people respected. He had built the identity people admired. But when he was alone, another question appeared. Why doesn't this feel like enough? At first, he gave himself the obvious answer. He needed more. More success, more money, more recognition, more proof. So he kept going. And for a while, that worked. Every achievement gave him a temporary high. Every compliment gave him a moment of relief. Every new milestone pushed the question away, but only for a moment. Then the silence returned. And the silence always asked the same thing. If this is what you wanted, why are you still empty? That was the beginning of the investigation. Not into success, into himself. He started noticing something strange, not only in his life, in everyone's life. A friend who said she wanted love, but always chose people who made her anxious. A colleague who said he wanted opportunity, but always found a way to sabotage it. A relative who said they wanted peace, but kept returning to chaos. Different people, different lives, same pattern. They said they wanted freedom, but they kept choosing the familiar prison. At first, he thought the answer was fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of change. That made sense, until it didn't. Because fear should make people avoid pain, but people weren't avoiding pain. They were returning to it, again, and again, and again. So maybe fear wasn't the answer. Maybe fear was only the cover story. Then he saw the pattern. People don't always choose what makes them happy. They choose what feels familiar, and familiarity is dangerous, because it feels like truth. A person raised around emotional chaos may meet someone calm and feel nothing. No spark, no obsession, no urgency. Then they meet someone distant, unpredictable, unavailable, and suddenly it feels powerful. But it isn't love, it is recognition. The nervous system is not saying, "This is good." It is saying, "I know this." And that is where many lives go wrong. Because the thing that wounds you can start to feel like home. When he understood that, he became afraid. Because he began asking a different question. What in my life feels true? Only because it feels familiar. His ambition, his restlessness, his need to prove himself, his inability to slow down. What if these were not signs of strength? What if they were symptoms? That thought disturbed him, because it meant the life he was so proud of might not have been built from desire. It might have been built from fear. But even that was not the deepest layer. One night, he found a sentence from Carl Jung, a sentence that felt less like philosophy and more like an accusation. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. He read it once, then again, because suddenly his life looked different. The ambition he admired might have been hiding insecurity. The confidence he performed might have been hiding shame. The discipline he praised might have been hiding terror. The identity he protected might have been protecting him from something else. And then came the question he did not want to ask. What am I getting from this? Not, why am I suffering? But, what am I getting from my suffering? At first, the question felt offensive. Then it became impossible to ignore. Because every pattern survives for a reason. The people pleaser avoids rejection. The perfectionist avoids criticism. The cynic avoids disappointment. The victim receives sympathy. The loner avoids vulnerability. The underachiever avoids being tested. The overachiever avoids feeling worthless. Every prison gives something. Every identity protects something. Every wound offers a role. And until you understand the reward, you will never understand the trap. That was when the question from the beginning returned. If nobody could see your success, would you still want it? This time he did not laugh, because he finally understood why he could not answer. His success had never been only success. It had been evidence. Evidence that he mattered. Evidence that he was enough. Evidence that the old wound was wrong. But the wound never disappeared. It simply learned to wear expensive clothes. That is the part most people never see. They think they are chasing happiness, but often they are chasing proof. Proof they are lovable. Proof they are worthy. Proof they are powerful. Proof they are not who they once feared they were. And if the proof disappears, the old fear returns. That is why change is so difficult. Not because people are weak. Because the old identity once protected them. The people pleaser was not born fake. They learned that being agreeable kept them safe. The perfectionist was not born obsessive. They learned that mistakes were dangerous. The loner was not born cold. They learned that needing people could hurt. The successful one was not born ambitious. They learned that achievement could silence shame. So, when you try to change, your mind does not always experience growth. Sometimes it experiences danger, because growth asks you to betray the version of yourself that helped you survive. And that version does not disappear quietly. It whispers, "Stay the same. At least here you know who you are. At least here the pain makes sense." And that is the hidden addiction. Not comfort, not approval, not even certainty. Meaning. The meaning your suffering gives you. The meaning your struggle gives you. The meaning your failure gives you. The meaning your identity gives you. Because if the suffering disappears, so does the story. If the story disappears, so does the role. If the role disappears, you are left with something most people spend their entire lives avoiding: possibility. And possibility is terrifying, because possibility demands responsibility. No excuse, no label, no script, no one left to blame, just a blank page and a question. Who are you without the story? That was the question that finally broke him, not because it destroyed his life, because it revealed that much of his life had been built around a wound he kept trying to outrun, a wound that followed him into every room, every goal, every relationship, every achievement. He thought he was building freedom, but he had built a more impressive cage. And the strangest part, the door was open. It had been open for years. But leaving meant giving up the identity that made the cage meaningful, and many people would rather remain trapped than become unknown to themselves. So now, the question belongs to you. Which identity would be hardest for you to lose? The strong one, the successful one, the victim, the people pleaser, the loner, the rebel, the one who pretends not to care? Be careful with your answer, because the identity you defend most aggressively may be the one controlling your life. And if this question made you uncomfortable, the next one is worse, because once you stop asking who you are forced to ask something far more dangerous. Who were you before the world told you who to be?